Anybody there? Anyone? It's chilling. Sir? Sir? It's a cold night, right? And the darkest one for sure. Sir?
The next morning, Ichabod's horse appeared near the town, and his horse was near as much pumpkin. Some say it was the headless horseman who had taken Ichabod into the dark night. Others believe it was me who had played another prank to Ichabod. But it's impossible, right? It was the headless horseman.
Okay, so that was the whole story of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, all in a nutshell. Now we will try to make this presentation work, which didn't previously. Okay, shall we continue? Yep.
We're going to begin with the author biography. The author is Washington Irving. He was the first professional distinguished writer of the United States, with short stories like The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Rip Van Winkle. He was influential in the development of the short story form and helped to gain respect for American literature. Washington Irving was born on April the 3rd of 1783 in New York. He was the youngest of 11 children and was named after the first president of the United States, George Washington. He was fascinated by the upper class of New York and would often sneak out of family prayer meetings in order to attend the local theater. A dreamy and inspired student, Irving apprenticed himself in a law office instead of following his older brother to Columbia College. In his free time, he read avidly and wandered when he could around the Hudson River Valley. This place, North New York City, served as an inspiration for his later writings. At the age of 19, he began contributing letters under the pseudonym of Jonathan Oldstyle to a newspaper owned by his brother Peter. His first book was a collaboration with another brother, William, and one of their friends, James Kirkpatrick Pody. In 1809, he published another of his works, A History of New York from the beginning of the world to the end of the Dutch dynasty under the pseudonym of Dietrich Knickerbocker. Irving's carefree lifestyle and literary successes were shadowed at the start died by the death of his fiancée Matilda Hoffman. For several years, he lived between a legal and writing career.
Okay, then he moved to England, especially to Liverpool, where he started to work in this law office he chose previously. But suddenly the enterprise bankrupt, so he decided to come back to writing. This is how he started to recording all the ideas he had and taking notes. This is how he then gathered all this material and created the most known of his works, literary works, which is known as the sketchbook. At this time, as you have noticed, he used to use a lot of pseudonyms, and this time he had Geoffrey Crayon. So, in this sketchbook, he comprises 30 of his works, including The Sleepy Hollow and Brokeback Winkle, another really known work of Washington. At this time, he also decided to switch his focus, and he left this descriptive work, going to more biographical and more historical writing. When he moved to Spain, he started writing the history of Spain. He was one of his huge contributions as well, after moving back to America.
Okay, so as an interesting fact, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was first published in 1820, but it takes place in 1790. We have to keep that in mind because it's quite related to the American Revolutionary War. Okay, so keep that date in mind. Change the slide, please. So here we've got a photograph of Washington Irving, or a drawing, whatever. Here we've got the location, which is, Sleepy Hollow actually exists, and it's located in New York. Another interesting fact is that here in Sleepy Hollow there are several famous authors that are buried. For example, Thoreau, we already checked him during lessons, Hawthorne, which was quite influenced by Washington Irving's work, as well as Edgar Allan Poe. They both were influenced by Washington Irving. Then we've got Alcott and Emerson, and Washington Irving is also buried here in Sleepy Hollow. So you can go to Sleepy Hollow, visit his grave. Okay, so Hessian soldiers. During the American Revolutionary War, German soldiers were hired by the armies, both armies, to fight in this war. They were known as Hessian soldiers, or Jäger, which means hunter in German. The Headless Horseman is said to be a Hessian soldier who lost his head with a cannonball during the battle. He was buried in a graveyard next to the church, and he's said to rise during night, looking for his head, and he has to come back to the tomb before daylight shows up. So that is, look at this horseman.
Okay, now we have here some literary devices. First I'm going to read it. The night grew darker and darker. The stars seemed to sink deeper in the sky. Well, if you read Sleepy Hollow, you will notice at the very beginning that it is full of imagery, because all the adjectives and all the words chosen by Irving create the environment in not only describing the scene, the settlement, but also the sounds and the smell. So it touches all your senses. Here you can even imagine the sky, okay? Then we have the flapping of blast through the dry branches. So you can almost feel it.
The low murmur of his pupils' voice crooning over their lessons. So here this is this was also imagery. Sorry, I was thinking about the stress imagery, because you can almost imagine or think about the classroom in complete silence, but some murmurs of some students can be heard.
In here we have another literary device, which is personification, the murmur of the brook, in which the author gave a human trait or characteristic to a thing or an object, which will be the brook.
At the same time, and having a look at the murmurs that change through the story, we can also notice some Gothic elements. For example, among them we have the sounds, the lights, the colors, the sentiment chosen by the author. Everything with a dark land. So among these we have the sounds that at the very beginning were very nice, and then they were creepy and fluffy. Everything gave you the experience of something dark and scary.
And then something was going to happen.
Yes.
Well, as Nicole said at the beginning of the story, there were almost no sounds, because Sleepy Hollow was described, and whole Terrytown was described as a quiet place.
Actually, the quietest place.
The quietest place, a place where you would like to rest for the rest of your life. Ironically. But it starts changing throughout the story. So, sounds and light begin to become darker, as Nicole said. For example, the wind starts being something creepy instead of something pleasant, something you wouldn't like to hear. At the beginning, he describes the forest being a quiet place near a quiet town, but at the end is the forest, the woods, the one thing that
You want to avoid.
yes, the one thing to avoid, because inside the forest we can find the headless horseman, the thing that is going to kill you. So it turns out to be something dangerous. The lights also, well, the presence of the black and white is throughout the whole story, because the church is described as whitewashed church, and the night is described as darker and darker and darker. So we have these elements, these Gothic elements present throughout the whole story.
Okay, then we have, one might have mistaken him for the genius of famine descending upon the earth or some scarecrow. Well, here we have a metaphor, because Ichabod is compared to a scarecrow. Why? Because of his physical complexion. He was quite similar to a scarecrow, but it is not mentioned like or as. And the small birds were taking their farewell blankets. Their farewell blankets would be like the liberation of the birds, but it is mentioned with another word.
Okay, so another device that the author uses for this story is, well, I'm going to explain it because we couldn't find a name for this. And at the very beginning of the story, he gives the impression of telling us, this is not my story, I didn't write this, I found this on some papers of someone else. So this description, this device that he uses at the very beginning, gives us an impression of reality. We think that the story is real because it isn't written by an author. He found some documents and he narrates what he read on those documents. Another thing is that at the very beginning, again, of the story, he includes different legends and myths inside this legend. So we think, he's narrating some myths, he's telling us some legends, so those are legends, those are myths, this story is real. So nothing supernatural is going to happen. But then we have this twisted ending in which the headless horseman turns to be real. So this is something that Washington Irving used a lot in his work so as to make it more seem to be trustful. So you read it and you think that it was real.
Actually, to narrate this legend, he used one of his pseudonyms, Dietrich Knickerbocker, and so he didn't create like a new character. It was one of his pseudonyms. Yes. And we have that Ichabod's name meant something. Well, Ichabod and his surname, which was Crane. Crane was a bird with long neck and legs. And in the case of the name, was related to the Bible.
Bible allusion.
Yes, that was an allusion to the Bible. In the Bible, we find this story about Hebrews. The Ark of the Hebrews, which contained 3 important elements for their religion, was taken away. It was robbed. And apart from that, the highest priest died because he was surprised about this robbery. Additionally to that, Ichabod's father in the Bible died because of it. Ichabod's father was a bad priest. We can call it like that. So, Ichabod's mother says, the grace of God has departed from his people. So she named Ichabod, her son, because the grace of God was no longer with them. So, in the Bible, this means that God was no longer with their people, with his people. So, it is a name regarding this great misfortune and all of those kind of things, and that God wasn't with God's people. Here in the story, we can compare it, because as you might have noticed, Crane was a kind of special character. He claimed that he was in love about Katrina, he was in love with Katrina, but he was interested in her heritage, about her money, her father's money. He was always eating in the party. He starts eating. He was also careful about punishing his students because her mothers, and he had a list. In that list, he included which mother used to cook very well, which mother didn't. So he was very careful about punishing the students because the mothers used to bring him food. So he was given to all these earthly and worldly things. About he was greedy, he was a glutton, he was what we would call a sinner.
Now, we have the characters. We have Ichabod Crane, which is the protagonist, but it's not the protagonist we tend to see in books or movies. In this case, he's not the hero. He is not strong. Actually, he's tall, skinny, he had long arms, he was clumsy. Okay? And he got scared really easily, even though he really loved scary stories. He was pretending Katrina, but he didn't love her. He just wanted her money and what she represented.
Then we've got Katrina Van Tassel. And you might think, oh, she was a good lady. But she wasn't. She wasn't a good lady. Was there any interesting that you noticed in the story? Anyone would like to share something before I give you the answer? No? Anyone? No? Okay, so, Katrina. Katrina tended a trap to Ichabod. She was playing games with him. She was always flirting with single men, as well as Ichabod. She was flirting with him because she wanted Bron to be jealous. So that was what Katrina was doing. She was just lying to Ichabod. She was trying to entertain him, or entertain herself with Ichabod, and the whole fighting situation that Ichabod and Bron had. So she was like watching them fighting and waiting for Bron to declare his love for her. Then, well, so not the father of Katrina. We don't have a picture for him.
Okay.
So we have, on the one hand, we have Ichabod related to greed and gluttony. Then we have Katrina related to flirting and lustfulness. And also we have Katrina's father. He represents wealthiness. He was the one that had the money. He had a big farm. He was well known in the whole town. So he represents wealthlessness and ignorance, because he wasn't aware about the fact that people could get closer to him just because of his money. He was like,
He didn't care.
yeah, he didn't care. He didn't even care about Katrina's.
Yes.
Her daughter.
Okay, then we have Abraham Brown Bones Van Brunt. Well, the nickname was Brown Bones. That's how we call it here. Well, this character is very special because it is supposed to be the antagonist, being Ichabod the protagonist. But it is not the feeling that gives you at the end, because he's not like that bad. And what's that? Because he's all like playing this prank, and at the same time, he was the hero of this story, because he was admired by all the town and the girls, and everyone wanted to be with him, because he was like very brave and manly, and as I said, everyone wants to be like him or be with him. So he was the real hero in the town, and well, he acted in a bad way. He played a lot of pranks on Ichabod, but it was all because of the situation. He was jealous because he was really in love with Katrina, and this man wanted to flirt with her, but not because of love. Maybe he didn't notice, but he knew the fact that he was losing Katrina. So he was like the hero, not that bad, and a pranker man.
And then we have the headless horseman, as was mentioned in our play. He was a Hessian trooper, which is a German trooper, if you didn't know, whose head was cut by a cannibal. We believe that he's associated with George Washington because they both were commander-in-chief during the American Revolutionary War.
Yes. Well, and as we said, the Headless Horseman represents death, represents darkness, that he's actually the embodiment of evil. So that's what the Headless Horseman represents at the end of when you finish the story. And well, as Francisca mentioned, there are two possible endings. Some say that the Headless Horseman caught Ichabod, and others think that it was Bronn playing a final prank. So the last one is the one that we tend to think, because Bronn was told the story just before the Headless Horseman appeared and showed up, and because of the pumpkin that was crashed in the ground, so it wasn't a head, the thing that was thrown, it was a pumpkin. So, and in the story at the end, there is a farmer that says that he saw Ichabod married to another rich young lady in far away. So we have these two possible endings given in the story. So you can choose one of those. And that's our presentation.
Thank you.